It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar commemorating the 10th anniversary of International Day for Women and Girls in Science 2025, being organized by the Commission on Science and Technology for Sustainable Development in the South. I'm Dr. Mohammed, Deputy Director at COMSATS Secretariat. Today, under the theme Unpacking STEM Careers, Her Voice in Science, we will engage in insightful discussions on advancing gender equity in STEM field. We are honored to have a distinguished lineup of speakers who have significantly contributed to the advancement of science and technology. Before inviting our first speaker, the Executive Director, Honorable Executive Director for COMSATS, I would like to mention that to maximize the speaking time for each speaker, we will be displaying the profiles on the screen alongside the talk. Now I would like to commence formally the event by inviting the Executive Director of COMSATS for the opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Huma. Honorable speakers, excellencies, distinguished members of COMSATS Center of Excellence, colleagues and participants, Assalamu alaikum, and very warm greetings to all of you. It is a profound honor and privilege to address this august gathering as we commemorate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. The occasion not only celebrates the transformative contribution of women in STEM, but also serves as a critical call to create enabling environment to ensure and encourage women's participation in scientific fields. Regarding the importance of women, Islamic laws or Sharia regard women as the spiritual and intellectual equal to men. Gender equality, according to the United Nations, is a fundamental right. I am reminded of the founding father of COMSAT's host country, Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's quote about women. No nation can ever be worthy of its existence that cannot take its women along with the men. He further said, no struggle can ever be successful without women participating side by side the men. He also added a very strong remark about women, and that is, there are two powers in the world. One is the sword and the other is the pen. There is a great competition and rivalry between the two. But there is a third power stronger than the both, and that is the power of women. This was Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Women represent only 1/3 of the scientists worldwide, and only a quarter of top academic positions are held by women. Addressing this gap requires systemic change, targeted policies, and a concerted effort to create an environment where women and girls are empowered to pursue and excel in STEM careers. I am grateful to President TWAS, Professor Quarraisha, Regional Advisor UNEP, Ms. Aban Marker, Tech Member, Professor Hasina, Professor Dr. Erdogan, Vice President RSS Jordan, Professor Arafat, and Committee Member ISESCO, Associate Professor Rosmina, for contributing to this webinar. Special thanks to the Minister for IT, Ms. Shaza Fatima, for sending her message for this occasion. Women have been at the forefront of scientific discovery and innovations, despite the challenge they faced until mid-20th century in particular. However, gender bias is still an issue across the globe, though in varying measures. Nevertheless, the good sign is that the countries are waking up to the reality that women form equal part of the human resource globally, and thus have the potential to contribute equal, if not more, to the scientific, economic, and social development of a country. This treasure must be put to use, and must be put to use with full sincerity. The contributions of women span over centuries, shaping disciplines such as physics, chemistry, maths, medicine, environmental sciences, and much more. From Ada Lovelace, who pioneered early computing, to Rosalind Franklin's crucial role in discovery of DNA structure, and to the modern day trailblazers like Dr. Hayat Sindhi and Dr. Nargis Mawalwala, the women continue to push the boundaries of scientific knowledge. The list is long, and their contributions form the very foundation of science and technology for followers to build on. Distinguished friends, COMSATS is committed to fostering gender equality in science and technology. Founded on the principles of using science for sustainable development, COMSATS recognizes the indispensable role of women in achieving the set out goals. Notably, Pakistan's world famous scientist and Nobel laureate, Professor Abdul Salam, the visionary founder of COMSATS, was a staunch supporter and advocate for gender inclusivity in science. It was during the World Academy of Sciences conference on the role of women in the development of science and technology in the third world in 1988 that the need for an organization focused on women scientists was recognized, leading to the establishment of now what is called the Organization for Women in Science for the Developing World. Ladies and gentlemen, incidentally, in today's webinar, we have the honor of having the Honorable President of TWAS among us as a keynote speaker. I thank her organization for this milestone. I pay tribute to Professor Abdul Salam for his vision and leadership in science and technology. The International Agenda for Sustainable Development, particularly SDG 5 on gender equality, underscores the critical need for inclusive policies that empower women and girls in all the sectors, including science and technology. Gender equality is a fundamental right and also a prerequisite for achieving broader socioeconomic progress. There is no denial of that fact. The financial constraints, cultural norms, and inadequate infrastructure limit the universal access to education in many countries of the global south. While STEM education among women in the global north stands at approximately 30 to 40%, many developing nations are struggling to provide the necessary support systems for the female participation in science. So there's a big gap. This imbalance underscores the urgent need for policy interventions to ensure gender inclusivity in STEM. Ladies and gentlemen, women and girls are among the most affected by global challenges such as climate change. Therefore, they should be part in devising the climate action strategies and decision making. The imbalance in terms of women representation is a matter of urgent attention and which must be paid attention to. International organizations such as UN bodies, national entities with the international linkages, and other such representative institutions should lead from the front in terms of policy making and in terms of devising strategies that encourage women. At COMSATS, women hold key positions within this secretariat. COMSATS telehealth program, a flagship initiative and a success story, is run by lady physicians, and ladies are predominantly the beneficiaries of our telehealth program. COMSATS Center for Climate and Sustainability, headed by and run by women at the Secretariat, have excelled in performance, tangible outcome, and outreach. I appreciate the untiring efforts of COMSAT's women for their contribution and leadership role in many areas. COMSAT's governing bodies, the Technical Advisory Committee, TAC, Coordinating Council, and Consultative Committee of Ministerial Body, ensure meaningful female representation. One of the distinguished TAC women members is among us today as an eminent speaker. Our extensive network of 27 member states and 25 centers of excellence remain actively engaged in promoting STEM education, particularly for young women scientists. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to unlock the full potential of promising young girls in STEM by providing them with the opportunities and support they deserve. At this point, I take great pride in saying that my own daughter is a scientist working for RAND Corporation and currently attending the Global World Summit in Paris. Ladies, ladies and gentlemen, leaders across all sectors must take decisive action to create an enabling environment whereby curiosity, innovation, and this ambition are nurtured for all without any gender discrimination. COMSATS is available to assist member states and others to that end. By working together, governments, academia, industry, and civil society, we can address challenges and pave the way for a more equitable future. I once again extend my profound gratitude to all the esteemed speakers and participants for joining us today. Your commitment to this cause is both inspiring and essential in building a more inclusive scientific community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for thought-provoking and inspiring words and reaffirming COMSAT's commitment to promoting gender inclusivity. Her Excellency Ms. Shaza Fatima Khawaja, Minister of State for IT and Telecommunications, Pakistan, a leading advocate for digital governance and innovation, actively promoting greater female representation in technology and innovation. Unfortunately, she could not join us in person due to some other pressing commitments, but she has shared a written message with us. And on her behalf, I would request Dr. Mavish Durrani, COMSAT's head COMSAT Center for Climate and Sustainability, to read that message. Over to you, ma'am.
Distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, researchers, scientists from COMSATS fraternity, representatives from various governments, gender advocates. A very good morning and good afternoon. It is my great honor to address this important webinar on the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Today, we celebrate the remarkable contributions of women to science, technology, and innovation, while also recognizing the challenges they face in achieving full gender equality in these vital fields. Women make up only 34% of global workforce in science, technology, engineering, mathematics fields, with even fewer in emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, and cybersecurity. The underrepresentation is particularly stark in leadership roles, where women comprise only 11% of top-level positions in tech industry globally, despite accounting for 67% of global health and social care workforce and 43% of the agricultural labor force. Women remain significantly underrepresented in key sectors of technological advancement. The IT and tech industries are a key driver of economic growth, and without full gender parity, economies and societies miss out on tapping into the vast potential of female talent, entrepreneurship, and innovation. As the global economy faces a growing recession and unemployment rates rise, women are disproportionately affected. The loss of jobs in sectors like tourism, hospitality, and retail has particularly impacted women, pushing them further out of the workforce. However, the digital economy presents a significant opportunity for women to bridge the gender gap and access new career opportunities. Governments must invest in tech and digital skills to create job opportunities for women, particularly in remote work environments that can offer flexibility and inclusivity. Innovation today is driven not just by technological breakthroughs, but by the need to address pressing global challenges like climate change, health crisis, and inequality. Women's socio-economic empowerment plays a pivotal role in driving this new wave of innovation. Women entrepreneurs, particularly emerging economies, are creating impactful solutions in fields ranging from agriculture to renewable energy. By increasing women's participation in STEM and S&T, we can enhance these solutions and create lasting impacts. Gender equality in innovation is not only a moral imperative, but a strategic necessity for achieving sustainable and inclusive growth in an increasingly interconnected world. Despite notable progress, women remain underrepresented in leadership roles within the scientific and technological spheres. We must aim to bridge this leadership gap and create an ecosystem where women occupy equal positions in decision-making process, particularly in STEM and SMT fields. Pakistan has launched several significant initiatives aimed at increasing the participation of women and in male-dominated fields such as forestry, agriculture, ecotourism, and technology. Women continue to face numerous barriers to fully participating in science, technology, and innovation. These include structural barriers like gender biases, lack of access to networks, and limited opportunities for mentorship. Tailored interventions are necessary to address these challenges, such as providing targeted training programs, mentorship networks, and flexible work options that accommodate women's caregiving responsibilities. The Digital Nation Pakistan Bill 2025, approved by both the Houses of Parliament, aims to promote women inclusion and empowerment in the digital economy by addressing gender disparities in technology. The bill focuses on improving digital literacy and skills development for women, especially in rural areas, through accessible training programs in emerging fields like AI and cybersecurity. It also supports women entrepreneurs by creating networks and providing financing opportunities for women-led tech startups. Additionally, the bill seeks to increase women's representation in leadership roles within the tech industry and policy-making bodies. The Ministry of IT and Telecom and Pakistan Telecommunication Authority have initiated the implementation of digital gender inclusion strategy to bridge the digital divide and promote women participation in the digital economy. The initiative of Prime Minister's Free Laptop Scheme playing a significant role in providing women with access to digital tools, thereby enhancing their digital literacy and participation. Efforts are underway to develop smartphone for all policy ensuring widespread access to smartphones, recognizing their importance in empowering women through connectivity and access to information. The ministry has also partnered with UN Women to enhance gender equality in Pakistan tech sector, creating policies and programs to empower women at all levels of the tech industry. Pakistan's effort through its IT ministry will continue to empower women, foster inclusivity, and create an innovative environment where women play a pivotal role in shaping the future. COMSATS Secretariat is dedicated to facilitating platforms for women researchers and scientists, particularly in the areas of sustainable development and climate change, recognizing their critical role in shaping tomorrow's innovation. COMSAT's effort to bridge the gender gap in scientific research and innovation align with Pakistan's broader vision for inclusive growth and empowerment of women. I thank the Executive Director COMSATS, Ambassador Dr. Muhammad Nafis Zakaria, for the opportunity to share our thoughts on these important issues. We must continue to work together to ensure that women and girls have the opportunity to contribute to the advancements in science and technology. I look forward to engaging with all of you in efforts to make gender equality a STEM a reality and to fostering a future where women's voices are heard and valued in the global innovation landscape. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehwish. And we are also thankful to Her Excellency Ms. Shaza Fatima for highlighting the crucial role of women in addressing global challenges and for her and her STEM ministry commitment to fostering women participation in STEM field. Now I have the honor to invite Professor Dr. Quarraisha Abdul Karim, Honorable President of the World Academy of Sciences, for her keynote address.
Thank you very much, Mehwish, and Assalamu alaikum, Excellencies, distinguished speakers, and panelists. It's a real honor and privilege to be part of COMSATS celebration of the 2025 International Day of Women and Girls in Science. I am very grateful for this opportunity as we jointly discuss and enter into dialogue around how we unpack STEM careers and ensure her voice in science. As introduced, I am the president of the World Academy of Sciences, and I do appreciate Ambassador Zakaria's comments about Nobel laureate Abdul Salam, who established TWAS 40 years ago with a very clear vision that science is coming up with solutions to a number of things, but that access to science and access to the benefits of science is not being enjoyed equally across the world. And his confidence in the scientists and the scientific capabilities in the global south was reflected in the establishment of the Third World Academy of Science 40 years ago, with a very singular purpose, which is how do we use science for sustainable development in low middle income countries, or what was then referred to as third world countries. Today, TWAS is called the World Academy of Sciences because it reflects that in the complex challenges that face us, we cannot be loners as we find solutions, that science is central for hope, for the future, and for sustainable futures. And that requires that we all work together collaboratively and cooperatively to find solutions. Now, today we are commemorating the International Day of Women in Science and the importance of both women and girls in society. And part of that, I wanted to reflect on the progress that we've made. So a lot remains to be done. We've heard the statistics from Ambassador Zakaria and also from Her Excellency Fatima Khawaja. But we've also made a lot of progress. And in reflecting on that, one of the key points that I wanted to make was that as president of TWAS, I'm proud to be leading it for the first time as a woman president, but more importantly, that 50% of the TWAS Governing Council is women, reflecting not just gender, but also geographical diversity and subject contribution diversity that is being made, and also reflected in the almost 1,500 members that we have in TWAS. Secondly, I wanted to also draw attention to the years of investment that TWAS has made in building capacity with very intentional focus on ensuring gender equity across subject disciplines and across all manners and priorities that we have. And here I wanted to flag the young affiliates network that emanates from the PhD graduates we have and the early investigator investments. It's a whole affiliate, a network of affiliates who are making incredible changes, and shows how when we invest in young people also bring about change. They're fearless, they have courage, they have a lot of idealism, and I'm very proud of the contributions that Tian is making, both in terms of science for sustainable development, but also in ensuring that all voices are included, and particularly the voices of youth. I also want to flag and expand on a point that Ambassador Zakaria made around the Organization for Women in Science and OUST, and particularly their role of the ongoing support. So one, we invest in education, but that's not sufficient. And how do we provide the ongoing support that's needed? And the important chapters that we have at a country level through OUST that supported the leadership support that's provided, and also the particular priority setting contributions that's being made, particularly in the global south. I can go on about the programs in TWAS and the opportunities. I would just encourage those of you on this call to amplify these opportunities, the partnerships with other institutions and organizations, including the Inter-Academy Partnership. But I wanted to reflect a bit on this moment in which we meet. And it's a very tumultuous period where there is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion. And at the same time, what we have is a convergence of many challenges that put our very existence under threat. And here I'm talking about geopolitics, I'm talking about pandemics, and I'm talking about climate change, I'm talking about wars and conflicts and natural disasters. If we ever needed a point in history and time where peace is so centrally important for our survival as human beings on this planet Earth, and to ensure that we leave a sustainable future for legacies to come, now is that moment. We have seen in the global south how little progress made, and the incremental changes that we've made to build science capacity, to address the development challenges in our countries are being wiped out and eroded through wars and conflicts. Wars and conflicts in one country impacts entire continents and regions. And we see in the global south a disproportionate burden of that. So when Pope Francis says we need peace for sustainable development, peace is essential for sustainable development, I think it's a voice in a leadership void that we need to pay attention to. And I think it also highlights that change and how we use science for sustainable development can't simply be left to policymakers. It needs an all-of-society approach where civil society, private sector, government, and every one of us has to play a role in ensuring that the fruits of science benefits everyone every way, but also that we can see equitable development across the globe, because it's a luxury today to think that one country prospering and the rest of the world regressing in terms of socio-economic status and development can ensure security for everyone. So I, in closing, wanted to say that I've traveled this journey personally as a young scientist, as a young woman growing up in apartheid South Africa, living through indignity, human rights violations, to see democracy. I've also had the privilege as a scientist to contribute to addressing an important gap in Africa in terms of preventing HIV, which is tools for young women to be empowered to remain HIV infected, to contribute by addressing issues of HIV-TB comorbidity, and to also contribute to building the science base in South Africa through training and capacity development. So when I stand here as a Muslim woman, as a Black woman, and to be the president of TWAS, I hope gives hope to many others that where you start life shouldn't define what you can do, what you can achieve, and where you can go. Most importantly, it's how do we use the power we acquire so that all of society, all of humanity, and the planet benefits from our contributions. With that, let me stop and again thank all of you for this opportunity for TWAS to be part of the COMSATS program today and to share what TWAS is doing and also a little bit of my personal journey as a scientist. A lot remains to be done, and personally and professionally, and I think it's a real privilege to see this growing number of scientists actively addressing gender equity issues, but also using science for the betterment of humanity. So thank you so much, and I wish you all a happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and for our journey to continue as we have the challenges still remaining to close equity gaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Quarraisha. You are truly an inspiration for all of us. You have overcome so huge challenges, not ordinary challenges, overcoming huge challenges and contributed significantly to the advancement of science and technology, especially in the global south. TWAS has also set a powerful example for all organizations worldwide, including COMSATS, for advancing inclusivity and excellence in science and strengthening global scientific progress. Next, we have Ms. Aban Marker Kabraji, Senior Regional Advisor for Climate and Environment, UNEP Asia Pacific. She is also heading a very big initiative in Living Indus. Unfortunately, she could not join us because right now she's busy in another event, but she has recorded a video message for us, which we will now play. So I would ask my technical team to kind of please play the recorded message of Ms. Aban. Sorry
Ambassador Dr. Mohammad Nafis Zakaria, distinguished speakers, esteemed participants, and the COMSATS team, good evening. It's a privilege to join this distinguished forum, which underscores the critical role of women in science and innovation in shaping a sustainable and inclusive future. I myself have been involved with women's issues and the women's movement in Pakistan for as long as I can remember. And one of the greatest interests for me has been the ability to show how best the science supports the inclusion of women in everything to do with environment and more recently with climate change. So this particular conference is of great interest, and I'm sorry I can't be with you, but I'm happy to have the opportunity to at least speak to you. I would extend my sincere appreciation to COMSATS for convening the important dialogue and for its unwavering commitment to advancing gender equality in science and technology. Now, the challenges facing our world today, climate change, biodiversity loss, socio-economic inequalities, particularly the impact of pollution on the poor, they demand bold and innovative and inclusive solutions. Easier said than done. Climate change in particular remains one of the most pressing global challenges. It exacerbates vulnerabilities, it disproportionately affects marginalized populations, and as always, in the economic spectrum, the women and the poorest of at the bottom of the spectrum is usually a woman or a child. And that really is where equity becomes a major issue. While the impacts of climate are felt worldwide, they're not experienced equally. Women, children, communities, particularly in the global south and the poorest parts of the world, bear the heaviest burdens, not only because of their socioeconomic conditions, but also because of systemic inequities in our societies, which allow for resource capture by the powerful, frequently men, and that resource capture includes access to education, decision-making, health, everything that basically makes for a reasonable life and some level of justice and equity in societies. Statistics reveal a stark reality. During climate-induced disasters, women face higher mortality rates than men, and children too. In extreme weather events such as heat waves and tropical cyclones, for example in China, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, and the Philippines, it's been noted that female mortality rates have been significantly higher. Climate-induced displacement has a distinct gendered impact. 80% of people displaced by climate change are women and girls. The crisis also disrupts essential services, including reproductive health care, and that means vulnerabilities for women increase. Beyond climate change, the interlinked challenge of poverty remains a significant barrier to women's empowerment. Climate disasters drive poverty, and poverty in turn intensifies climate disasters. You get into a vicious cycle where you move negatively down the spiral. Today, over 10% of women worldwide live in extreme poverty. They survive on less than $2 per day. And at the current trajectory, 342 million women, 8% of the global female population, will still be living in poverty by 2030. That's really an alarming and very depressing statistic. Structural barriers such as workforce discrimination, limited access to education, deeply embedded societal norms further restrict women's economic participation and leadership. Despite these challenges, women are not merely victims of climate change and socio-economic disparities. They have agency, and they are powerful agents for change. Women's leadership in science, technology, and innovation is crucial for building resilient economies, fostering environmental stewardship, and ensuring sustainable development. The point, though, is to give them the tools, to give them the knowledge, to give them the resources to play that kind of empowered role. And in that, science, technology play a very, very important role. Access to both can make all the difference. Now in Pakistan, with the United Nations and the government, there is an initiative that has started on the Indus River, on the Indus Basin. And the reason that the ecosystem of the Indus has been chosen as being the most important to Pakistan's future is because most of Pakistan is dependent entirely on the Indus Basin. Every single province in Pakistan bases its economy on a ability to resource its agriculture, its urban settlements, its economic development, and generally its growth in every way on the sustainability of the Indus Basin. That is under threat with climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And the Indus Initiative, the Indus Program as it has now become, is an attempt to ensure that the Indus is managed sustainably, that it is restored, that it is recharged, and that the waters that flow from the mountains, the Karakoram in the north of Pakistan, down to the sea in the Indus Delta, remain a source of life to Pakistan, remain a source of life to its economy and its people. Climate no longer gives us the guarantees that we used to have, that the snows would fall, that the monsoon would come, that the quantity of water that we got every year would be reliable. Given that unpredictability and uncertainty, we need to manage and adapt to a very different future. That is what the Indus Program is all about. Women and their role in that is essential to ensuring the success of the program, and it is, in many of its various interventions, it has a particular role for women and gender aspects to be played out. It has an interdisciplinary approach, and it allows women to and empowers women to lead groundbreaking projects in sustainable agriculture, eco-friendly urban planning, renewable energy. It integrates traditional ecological knowledge, which frequently women are the greatest resource of, with cutting-edge science, and involving the women in the initiative. We are developing scalable, climate-smart solutions tailored to the unique challenges of their communities, bringing whatever needs to be done to their homes, rather than asking them to come to where the problems are, because the problems frequently are right around them. And models like that exemplify how gender-responsive innovation can drive sustainable development and climate adaptation. Now, the theme of today's discussion, Unpacking STEM Careers, Her Voice in Science, is a timely call to action. It is exactly the kind of empowering tool science, technology, and innovation, alongside nature-based solutions and strategic global partnerships that are at the heart of sustainable development and empowering women. However, gender equity remains a cross-cutting enabler. A diverse scientific community that includes the perspectives of women will yield more holistic, effective, and sustainable solutions to global challenges. The question we must ask ourselves is not only what innovation is being pursued, but who is leading, funding, making decisions, and having the impact, and who actually benefits from that impact. Institutions and companies with greater gender diversity in leadership are more likely to develop disruptive innovations, creative innovations, particularly those addressing societal and environmental challenges. And women in particular are generally a lot more pragmatic about what is necessary, what is needed for their families. So it's pretty likely that with them in the lead, you will get practical solutions that work for families. To foster such gender-responsive innovation and climate action, we must invest in education and training, scholarships and targeted programs for women in STEM fields that can help bridge the gender gap, promote equitable access to climate finance. Financial institutions must mobilize an estimated $1 trillion by 2030 globally to stay on track with net zero goals. It's imperative, however, that these resources, when they become available, are allocated equitably, ensuring they empower women-led climate initiatives rather than reinforcing existing inequalities. And this is where resource capture becomes an extremely important aspect of equity, which needs to be monitored in a way to ensure that the money goes where it is needed and where it is most useful. One needs to strengthen policy and governance frameworks. Governments and international organizations implement policies that support women's participation in scientific leadership and innovation. And this includes policies that support women's work in flexible work arrangements, mentorship programs, and robust anti-discrimination laws. We need to champion social and technological innovation. While technological advancements are essential, we also need to ensure that they're integrated with social innovation and a shift in culture and a shift in cultural values, which allows women access to everything which men have access to. This requires rethinking traditional structures and empowering women to lead systemic change in their communities and industries. So, participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, let us reaffirm our commitment to create a more inclusive and sustainable world, one where women are not only participants but leaders in science, innovation, and climate action. Gender equity in STEM is not a matter of social justice alone. It is necessary for the economies of countries to prosper and for the future of our planet. I extend my deepest appreciation to COMSATS for its steadfast efforts in advocating for women in science and technology, to the leadership of Ambassador Nafisa Zakaria, and to all the women present today. Your contributions are invaluable. Your leadership is essential in shaping a better world for future generations. Thank you.
We are thankful to Ms. Aban for her insightful remarks. Her words underscore a fundamental truth. We women are not just affected by climate change and socio-economic challenges, they are powerful drivers of the innovation and resilience. Moving forward, we now begin our panel discussion, Breaking Barriers and Building Futures. This session will basically spotlight accomplished women in STEM who have overcome challenges and made remarkable contribution in the field of science, technology, and innovation. We have Professor Dr. Hasina from Bangladesh, an esteemed molecular biologist shaping national and international biotechnology initiatives. Professor Erdogan Orhan from Turkey, a distinguished pharmacologist and academic leader with extensive contribution to chemistry and pharmacology. Professor Arafat Awajan from Jordan, Vice President for Scientific Research, Royal Scientific Society in Jordan, a leading researcher in computing and scientific innovation. Professor Dr. Rosmina Zuin Rahim from Malaysia, a pioneering researcher in electrical and in computer engineering. So each panelist will share their perspective on evolving landscape of STEM careers for women. Let us begin with Professor Dr. Hasina Khan. Assalamu alaikum, Professor Dr. Hasina.
Walaikum assalam. I was just trying to set the thing up. Yes, it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited to this event. And I'm very grateful to COMSAT for organizing this event, celebrating 10 years of International Day for Women in Science and Technology. Whenever we talk about science and technology, you hear men say that there's no task, no job, no profession which is beyond the capability, intellectual capability of women. But when we actually come down to statistics, it's so appalling. We have so few women in challenging STEM professions. I mean, this has to do to some extent, not totally, with the socio-economic hurdles, problems within some countries in the region, and for which women are being systematically being tracked away from science and math, limiting their access, their opportunities, their preparation to go into these fields as adults. So if we talk about sex and gender, there's a difference. We use them many often interchangeably, but there's a difference. Sex has biological components like the chromosomes. I'm a biologist, so I'm going to be speaking from a biologist view. So it has biological components like the sex organs, the chromosomes. But when we come to gender, it has a social component to it. It is influenced by the differential expectations and treatments of the conspecifics. On this aspect, I would like to tell you that there are many experiments which have been carried out to show that a female brain is much smaller than a male. But of course, we have found this is not true. There are differences in size, which is expected from the differences in the size of a man and a woman, and perhaps a little bigger in male than the female, but that doesn't make much difference in the terms of intellectual capability. And then also there's much more gray matter for in a woman's brain, but then we are told those gray matters women don't use as often as males do. So there are many experiments where one would jump up, especially men, to find a difference in the intellectual capability as depicted by a study of the brain. But let me tell you, I mean, I was at the International Science Council. Yesterday, they were celebrating the same event, and there was this woman mathematics professor in Burkina Faso, and she was telling how difficult it was for her to pursue maths because her male classmates thought this was a domain for them. What was she as a female doing there? And she would often, during her presentation, she would be told, be prepared, we are going to come with very tough questions, very intimidating, like you want to run away from there. And also this we have heard so often that if you have understood something, you must be able to explain it to your grandmother. Not a grandfather, grandmother, because a grandmother is supposed to be the most, intellectually inferior in the family, a female member, she would not know anything. And let's take the case of Yvonne Brill. She was a rocket scientist. Many of you may know her. She died in 2013, not that long ago. Her work has helped us keep our satellites in orbit. So she was a brilliant aerospace engineer. But when she died, the obituary that was written on her by New York Times is that mean beef stroganoff, of all things. She followed her husband wherever he went for work. And she took 8 years off to raise her children. And after that, they go on to say that she was a scientist and all that. But obviously, there was a lot of hue and cry regarding this obituary, and they had to change. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we have sex, which doesn't show that we are much incapable of doing things from what a man is capable of doing. But then we have gender. What the gender is doing, let me see. it has, as I said, it has social components, gender, which involves differential expectations and treatment by specifics. And what we do is we start treating children differently based on the biological sex. And this is an important part of our definition of gender. And what this does, all this things that we're hearing about how female are thought not to be capable of doing things in those areas of STEM where men are supposed to be excelling, is that it leaves a epigenetic imprint on our brain. And that's something that's quite worrying, because all environmental influences can epigenetically change the brain. What does it mean? That we have this phenotypic changes that occurs during differentiation throughout development. And this changes we know as epigenetics. And it teaches us that although our genes are fixed, the genetic expression is malleable and can change. And it not just change it has a huge impact on the well-being of the brain. So this is alarming. How we are treated as a female makes an imprint in our brain, and that stays on. Gender rather than sex may cause the brain epigenome to differ. It's not sex, it's the epigenome, that gender that makes the epigenome differ. And there are many ways in which sex and gender interact to shape the expression of our brain. Boys and girls, men and women have different exposures, and we experience different things based on our societal expectations and also on our perceived expectations as based on our gender. And that some of these exposures, experiences are known to cause epigenetic changes in the brain. And this is based on very carefully carried out controlled animal studies. We see that whatever the sex, a baby's future is predetermined by this entrenched belief that we have that male and females do all things differently. I mean, better or worse, because they have different brains. Our gendered world, it shapes everything. And that's important. It shapes everything from our educational policy, the social hierarchies, to relationships, to self-identity, and the well-being of our mental health. But what we know that the brain is molded from birth and continues to be molded throughout until our old age, when our gray cell starts disappearing. This is brain plastic. The brain is plastic. So with the brain plasticity, the brain is much more a function of experiences. If you learn a skill, your brain will change, and it will keep on changing. I mean, if you did not have a particular experience, like if as a girl, if you're given a doll and not a Lego, you may give a Lego to your son and not to your daughter. And so what you do have, the spatial training that one obtains from constructing different things from the Lego will be missed out on the girl child. And if on the other hand, if you're given those tasks, and you do them repeatedly, you would get better at them. The neural paths that we have, they become automatic pathways, and the task becomes easy. So that's what's happening. We do it right from the birth of our children. We treat them differently. And once we acknowledge that our brains are plastic and moldable, and then the power of gender stereotype becomes evident. If you would follow the brain journey of a baby girl or a baby boy, we would see that right from the moment of birth, or even before, when we are like sending out cards to a baby shower, and we are asking, are you expecting a bouncing he or a pretty she? So right from the beginning, we have different attitude towards the gender. And if we could follow the brain journey of a baby girl or a baby boy, we could see right from the moment of birth, or even before, as I said, these brains may be set on different roads. Toys, as I mentioned, you give a Lego to your son and not your daughter, she ends up getting a doll. Toys, clothes, books, and teachers, which school you go to, universities, employers, these are all gender stereotypes. What used to be thought fixed and inevitable, we thought was there forever, biology is our destiny, is being shown to be plastic and flexible. And the powerful biology changing effects of our physical and our social worlds are being revealed. So what do? We need to debias the systems. We need to have more role models. We are very happy that you have brought in Professor Quarraisha Abdul Karim, a role model, and then Aban Kabraji. We need more people like them around us. And we need to have them as mentors and role models. And all children should know that the identity, their abilities, achievements, and behavior are not prescribed by their biological sex. I mean, we dress up baby boys in jumpsuits and the baby girls in pink. It's a binary coding that that resists scientific evidence. So, as I said, we need to have more role models and also governmental strategies and policies which should allow an increase in the access for all genders to these STEM-related disciplines and careers. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity of being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the others. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Hasina. For a moment, I thought that I'm in the lecture hall. You reminded me of my college time. So thank you so much for your insights on the role of a woman in science, your discussion on how gender shapes societal expectations from childhood to the workplace, and the stigma often associated with intelligence in a gender-specific manner highlights the deep-rooted challenges that women faces in the STEM. And your remarks have just a critical reminder that fostering gender equity in science is not just about providing opportunity, it requires dismantling societal biases, rethinking traditional norms as well. Now I would like to hand over the floor to Professor Erdogan Orhan. Hoş geldiniz, Professor Dr. Orhan.
Merhaba, hoş bulduk. Hello.
The floor is yours, Dr. Orhan.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we would like to hear now your comments.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Actually, I've prepared a small presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and I would like to share it with you. But before I start, of course, I would like to thank you, COMSTAT, and the dear ambassador for inviting us to this program, which is very meaningful to me as well. And I'm very happy to be here, even online. So if you let me, because I want to talk, I want to direct my talk through the numbers and some graphs so that I would express myself in a better way, I guess. So now I will start. I hope you can see it, right?
Yes, we can see, Dr. Orhan.
Yes, great. So I made it full size, and of course, today it is International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which is very meaningful to all of us. I'm very happy to be here with my colleagues, and definitely I agree with the opinions and the talks and the suggestion by the previous speakers, but definitely we have a problem on gender equality in science, although you know, it is discussed a lot and it is very popular topic nowadays. But anyway, I would also would like to underline some facts, maybe some statistics, which might be useful to all participants here. And of course, I am, you know, from Ankara, the capital of Turkey, and we are also a member state of OIC, and I really value what is happening with gender equality in OIC countries. That's why I did some research, and I inspired by the numbers, you know, relevant to gender equality, and that's why I would like to underline in 10 minutes what I was thinking about that. So definitely we are very sure that women, especially in researcher position, are underrepresented, especially concerning in R&D and maybe STEM activities throughout the world, not only in OIC countries, but of course, when we look into to this underrepresentation of women in OIC countries, actually it is not that bad. The average in OIC countries a little bit lower than the world average. And I was also a bit surprised that many OIC countries have higher shares than even the average for the EU member countries. So because as we all know that EU countries or European Union is considered as the developed part of the world. But when I come back to R&D, of course, the R&D capacity is still low in OIC country, which definitely I believe that we should improve, considering, I mean, woman or male, we have to, develop our capacity, especially in OIC member states. We have a advantage of having a very young population, and of course, natural sources. Almost we have everything, and we just need to organize it in a much better way. So considering this fact, actually, some of these OIC member states, they have recorded significant development, improving their R&D capacity in last 10 years, which is very good, but still not enough. So definitely this R&D part or scientific part in our countries should be stimulated, maybe by non-governmental organizations, maybe the organizations like COMSTAT, COMSTEC, and through the government and private sector initiatives. And this is, I think, our job altogether, regardless of being woman or man. But still, considering the whole world, of course, women or female researchers, they account for a minority. This is also approved by a UNESCO report. I also looked into the report because of this opportunity to talk here today. And women researchers, according to the recent statistics, of course, they are almost 30% of all researchers globally. This is not bad, but of course it should be at least, half. In some countries, they succeeded to do that way, but in most of the countries, it is not at that level yet. So on your left on the slide, you can see these regional averages for different parts of the world. But this is like maybe almost 10 years back, but still gives us some idea because I couldn't find the newer data. But anyway, so it is about 28.8 for world and different parts. Of course, the numbers differ, but we can see that I think Central Asia is doing very well considering the rate of female researchers with the ratio of like 48%, followed by Latin America and Caribbean. And on your right, you can see the breakdown of female researchers in Europe, because my country, Turkey, is a kind of bridge country, as you know, between Europe and Asia. We also, our country is also called as Minor Asia. So we represent both continents probably. And when we look into European part, you can see OIC countries located in Europe, maybe we can consider Bosnia and Herzegovina as one of them. And you see the female researchers rate goes up to 48%, although it is a very small country, almost, half, up to half female researchers actually take place in Bosnia, which also ranks around 10th in this graph. And coming to my country, it is not that bad, 37%. So it ranks like, I don't know, 21st. So this is not bad, but still we should develop it. Of course, the rate of female researchers also varies from, field to field or scope to scope. In some fields, scientific fields, of course, we are doing very well. In some fields, we are not. But considering these statistics, according to Eurostat, you see actually 45% of scientists in Turkey operating, especially in research, technology, health, engineering, and R&D, exceeded the European Union average, which was 41%. This is a very good rank. So that means in those fields that I just mentioned, the number or ratio of the scientists, female scientists in Turkey actually outpaced Germany, France, and UK in such developed countries. And I also looked into the CESRIC report, which was published in 2021. You see, especially, considering the regulations, some strategies, applications, practices, policies, 36 OIC member states reduced gender inequalities, from 2010 to 2018, and they developed their GDI, which is Gender Development Index. This is a very good, I think, move, but we should also not ignore that we are also facing some facts in, especially in OIC part of the world, because 36% of the women, living in OIC countries experienced gender-based violence. And similarly, maybe we should also mention about the considerable rate of child marriages happening, which has been happening in OIC countries. So this definitely affects the woman, regardless in science or not. That's why we keep arguing on, reducing this gender gap, which is very clear, and try to, make some efforts to nurture the junior female researchers. Of course, this is one step, and we should be working on that, definitely, because they will be the next generation of female researchers in each country. But definitely, this is one step, this is one strategy, but it shouldn't be the whole strategy. Definitely, as a grown female scientist, of course, I'm thinking that we need to focus on junior female scientists, because there is also another fact that we face, which is also called in psychology, like, I just forgot the name, leaking pipeline strategy, because that means when the female researchers, start to do their academic life, almost after PhD, half of them are eliminated or, do not continue their research part, and they just, leave it. So that is why this is one important strategy. But of course, it is not only the way, and it is not sufficient to reduce the observed career-wise gender imbalance, as I've written here. So definitely, I tried to here to underline some facts and how important to, to fix this gender inequality. And as far as I know, even though if we do, make a lot of efforts to fix this gender imbalance, especially in science, we still, if we suppose that if everything goes very well, we still need almost 1 century to make ourselves equal to men conditions in every way. So that's why we need to this gender equality or inequality topic very hot. And we need to take some, cautions like infrastructure for childcare, flexible working hours, family leave for both parents. So all these kind of similar cautions or applications or practices will definitely improve, the conditions of female researchers in science and in leadership position. Of course, the rate of females are very low. That's why we also need to increase the number or rate of females in leadership position, in policy making position or decision making position. And in every country, including US or Europe, just look into the number of the women rectors or vice chancellors. It's very low number. So that's why this is one phase. And of course, gender equality in science and technology-based entrepreneurship and innovation activities should be definitely promoted too. So I just wanted to talk on these numbers and just to remind you. And thank you very much again for inviting me over for this webinar. And I am so happy and happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science.
Thank you, Dr. Orhan, for your valuable insight. Your emphasis on the need of greater representation of women in R&D, in OIC, and in the Global South is both timely and essential. And I believe Turkey's approach to strengthening role of women in science through policy intervention, financial support, and cultural transformation demonstrate that investing in gender inclusive STEM initiative leaded to Turkey economic growth, innovation, and sustainable development. Now we have Professor Arafat Avajan, Vice President for Scientific Research from Royal Scientific Society. There's a request that we should keep the talk within a limit of 10 minutes because we are quite ahead of the scheduled time. Professor Arafat, are you with us?
Don't worry, I will take 10 minutes exactly, I hope. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning or good evening, everybody. Your Excellency, Professor Zakaria, Executive Director of COMSATS. Your Excellency, Ms. Shaza Khawaja, Minister of State for IT and Telecommunications. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Her Royal Highness Princess Sumaya bint Al-Hassan, President of the Royal Scientific Society, who could not be here with us today, I would like to thank you for organizing this event to celebrate women and girls in science. And many thanks to COMSATS for the kind invitation and giving me this opportunity to be part of this meeting. I believe that this meeting reflects the importance of women and girls' participation in STEM and the importance also for the whole humanity. And I hope that it contributes to the joint efforts towards gender equality. Before I begin, I'd like to express my gratitude to Her Royal Highness Princess Sumaya bint Al-Hassan for choosing me to represent the Royal Scientific Society in this meeting. I'm especially honored given Her Highness' deep commitment to women's rights. Her Royal Highness has demonstrated her commitment through outstanding efforts to advance Jordanian and Arab women's participation in science and in the workforce. As President of the Royal Scientific Society, the country's leading center for applied research, she has spearheaded initiatives to strengthen science, research, and technological development while fostering opportunities for women scientists and engineering. And this includes a wide range of topics and domains: water, environment, energy, and climate change. And as the chair of the board of trustees of Princess Sumaya University for Technology, she has been instrumental in promoting STEM education in Jordan and in the Middle East, while actively encouraging encouraging women not only to pursue academic programs in these fields, but also to be part of the leadership of these institutions. She appointed the first woman dean of School of Engineering in the country, and the first woman president of university, PSUT. Additionally, her contributions at both the national and international level contribute to drive meaningful progress. She represents Jordan in global forum in science, technology, and education, advocating for gender equality in these fields and helping to position Jordanian women in the international stage in scientific and technological discussions. This is an example of how the politics can play a positive role in these matters. In my presentation, I will address two main points. First, I will discuss the situation of Jordanian women in STEM as a case study that I think we share a lot of things with other countries. And secondly, I will maybe give some insight on the impact of new technologies, particularly ICT and AI, on the women involvement in STEM education and technological force. This is based on my background as a professor of computer science and my experience as a dean of IT schools for different times. I think sharing these ideas with you can be helpful, and we are interested to know also what is happening in other countries. In Jordan, women participation in STEM presents a mix of achievement and challenges. More than 60% of students in STEM discipline at Jordanian University are female. In the School of Natural Sciences, Medicine, Pharmacy, ICT, more than 60% are female. For example, in computer science, women make up approximately 45% of the student body. In engineering, it's almost 30%, closely aligning with the international statistics. In research and development, women represent almost 35% of the R&D body. However, if we reflect on the title of this meeting, Unpacking STEM Careers, Her Voice in Science, we must acknowledge that despite this encouraging enrollment number, women's representation in the STEM workforce remains limited. Female participation in the overall economy in Jordan is only about 15%, indicating that women with a STEM qualification don't have the opportunity to transition into the workforce. And this is very important. Several factors contribute to this gap, including social expectation, social situation, economic condition. Additionally, and we have to recognize, while educational institutions have made significant effort to enroll women in STEM programs, support systems are not at the same level, which means that we need stronger support system to ensure their successful entry and retention in the workspace. Efforts to bridge the gap have been made in Jordan and other countries with several initiatives launched at the different levels. However, I believe there is still much work to be done in Jordan and maybe in many other countries at different levels. Legal and economical measures should be taken. Orientation of the policy making, education system, and also we have to work hard at the social level. In the second part of my talk, I will say some words on the rapid advancement of technology and the ever-changing landscape of emerging technologies, along with their impacts on women. To begin, I would like to mention Ada Lovelace. She wrote the first algorithm for a machine in the mid of the 19th century, and she is considered the first computer programmer. Her legacy serves as a testament to the fact that technology has always been and can continue to be open to both men and women. The digitalization of nearly all sectors of economic activities and the rapid integration of artificial intelligence across present industry present unique opportunity for economic growth and greater inclusion of women in the labor market. The demand for STEM and ICT skills is growing in all sectors, from healthcare to manufacturing, creating new employment opportunity for everyone. However, artificial intelligence has both positive and negative impact on women's participation in STEM field. The main positive impact include the increased opportunity in tech and STEM careers as AI-driven industry expands, creating a new job perspective in fields like data science, machine learning, and AI research. Additionally, the access to these technologies and know-how is getting better and easier, and more women are entering this field through online courses, boot camps, and AI-focused educational program. Also, many of these jobs offered in the AI and STEM can be done remotely and offer greater flexibility, especially for women and particularly for wives and mothers. On the other hand, there are also challenges and negative impacts. Women remain underrepresented in AI research and development, leading to male-dominated decision-making in AI governance and policy making. The shortage of women in leadership position in AI discouraged young women from pursuing careers in this field. Additionally, many AI, this is something to recognize, many AI system reflects existing gender biases because all, as you know, these models built on the AI are always trained on biased data, which means what we have biased in our life is reflected also in the AI products and tools. In addition, we can say also there are also legitimate concern that AI and automation in general could replace jobs in industry where women are highly presented, leading to job insecurity and job losses. AI presents both opportunity and challenges for women in STEM. AI and new technologies can help bridge gender gap by creating a new career path, offering flexible work environment, promoting fair hiring processes, and establishing more justice in educating and hiring women and girls. In conclusion, persistent gender biases in AI development and decision making remain a significant concern. Addressing these challenges require increased representation of women in AI research and industry, policy-making processes, and at the leadership level to ensure a more inclusive future. At the end of my talk, I will close my interventions on this International Day of Women and Girls with a moment of reflections and sympathy for all the innocent women and girls killed in Gaza war and many other conflicts around the world. I hope that the world will become a better place for everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Professor
10
Arafat. We
minutes.
really appreciate your insights and for emphasizing women participation in emerging fields of science and technology at different levels. It is particularly inspiring to see Princess Sumaya University of Technology for its commitment to shaping a more diverse and dynamic scientific landscape. And I must mention the leader of one of the leader of Princess Sumaya University of Technology, Dr. Wajdan, who is the president, and she's also affiliated with COMSAT as a member of Technical Advisory Committee.
She was the first. She was the first dean of engineering school in Jordan.
Okay, so it exemplified the impact of women in the scientific leadership. So now we will move on to our last presenter or speaker, Professor Dr. Rosmina Zuin from Malaysia. Dr. Rosmina.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Huma. All right, thank you so much. I'm sorry for the hiccup. Okay, I am Dr. Rosmina Zuin Abdurrahim, a member of ISESCO Chair in Sustainable Engineering from International Islamic University Malaysia. I would like to cover a topic on bridging academia and industry, powering women in STEM careers. So I would like to continue with a bit of introduction of ISESCO Chair in Sustainable Engineering, where at ISESCO, we have three main focuses, and one of it is on STEM education and awareness. So we are leading a team of female researchers and lecturers in organizing various STEM programs among secondary and primary school level students, and especially we promote the gender equality in our program. Then I would like to also introduce our research group at IIUM, which is a VLSI and MEMS research unit. Through our research activities, we work closely with some industrial partners such as Cetera and Jabil, where our research focus is on biosensors and flexible electronics. We also are working together with our university partner in France, Taiwan, and Thailand. Okay, so I would like to move on to the landscape of women in STEM. At a global level. Okay, so I would like to share the facts and figures with regards to this landscape of women in STEM. Then this is the contents are being taken from this publication from World Economic Forum, published in June 2024, where it mentioned about the women's representation in both STEM and non-STEM workforces has somehow increased over the years. But as we know, as has been discussed from all panels just now, a woman remains underrepresented, especially in STEM sectors and especially at the STEM leadership level. So next slide. So if you can see from this graph where we compare the women in the workforce between STEM and the non-STEM sectors, we can see a significant, a trend, increased trend over the years from 2016 until 2024. But if we focus on year 2024 alone, we can see a huge difference between the percentage of women in non-STEM sector and in STEM sector with only 28.2%. And we move further on the data on women by seniority. As we can see along the way, the woman involvement in STEM fields, starting from entry level until the top level management, is decreasing over experience level. So it's applicable to both STEM and non-STEM. But for STEM sector, we can see that it's more significant, where roughly at the entry and senior manager level, we have quite reasonable percentage. But when it comes to the top level management, the leadership of women in STEM fields, it drops significantly. Then another thing that I would like to highlight is on our women's representation in AI, because we are moving towards AI now. So we can see that in general, women representation is less than 40%. And if we focus on year 2024, women representation in AI is mostly in education sectors, and with percentage of about 40%. And this percentage is in manufacturing and IT with about 30%. And I would like to bring your attention to the landscape of women in STEM, particularly on Asia Pacific region. It's based on the report published by UN Development Programme in January 2024. So it's the latest report, but it still mentioned the representation of women in STEM still remain low across the APEC regions, which is a bit lower than the global level of 29.3%. So somehow the girls and women in STEM face some unique challenges throughout their childhood, their education and their careers, as being highlighted from our previous speakers as well. And this trend is quite significant, especially in the more senior research role level. And next one. I believe this is the pipeline that Prof. Orhan mentioned just now, where we talk about the STEM sectors. We can see the trend of leaky pipeline, where starting from the childhood, where the girls who was born with bias belief that boys are always smarter than the girls. So this caused the lack of confidence in taking STEM as for their education. Then it goes further until they start up their family, and it's the social culture that insists that women should prioritize on their family, so making it difficult for the woman in STEM to maintain in that area. Then if we go further along the pipeline, when it comes to higher education as well, if the woman manage to come to this level, but they face another challenges in difficulty of finding a suitable job in STEM fields, or even if they go further in their career development, they have to face all the challenges related to the stereotype, gender bias and everything, and especially at the top level of management where it's dominated by the male. So it's quite challenging for the woman to stay there. So we can see the percentage of the female university students, which are quite promising, but we see the decline in their career and their STEM leaders level, but it could be due to the gender pay gap as well in STEM fields, because it's reported here that in some countries, the gender pay gap is quite significant. As we can see in Indonesia and Maldives, the percentage is about more than 20%. It's quite significant. Then based on this report, UN Development Programme has identified a mountain of invisible barriers for women in STEM. Okay, so because of that, they are very committed. They are committed to come out with the practical steps for the coming years to make sure girls and women in STEM can be empowered. And we move further to the landscape of women in STEM, but particularly in Asian countries, where the data is extracted from this policy brief prepared by US Asian Connect, published in December 2022, but it's about the similar trends at the global level as well as the APEC region, where we see the decline of women's participation, especially at the top level management. And if we go further, we can see that as reported in this table, the female researchers actually shows a quite significant percentage in each country. Then you can see from the graph here where they compare on the gender composition by each country. So we still can see in general, however, the percentage of women is still lacking compared to the male researchers. And if we go further, the report also highlighted the barriers that the women's participation in STEM in Asia that they face. Then basically they identify the personal and cultural barriers among the significant causes of these issues, and as well as on the structural and systemic barriers coming from the lack of facilities, technology to support the women in this STEM field. And And they also reported about the policy that has taken place in Asian countries, where in some governments already introduced the policy, the frameworks to prioritize women in STEM. So, for example, Cambodia in their roadmap already identified pledge to increase the number of STEM graduates among women to 40%, and even the country of Laos, they targeted about 35% women should be in the STEM field in their graduation. And for Malaysia as well, they put in their national policy so that to increase women's participation in STEM and even encourage the re-entry of women into the STEM field. And the same goes to Vietnam, where they introduced the law. So in the end, at the report, they come out with their resolution, the recommendation that they are going to plan for some actions in immediate level, the short-term level, as well as the long-term level. So we at ASESCO is excited, to go align with all this planning, and it could be immediate, short-term or long-term, so that we can stay aligned with the policy and the mission. And if we go further, I just want to highlight from individual level, as a junior woman STEM researcher, I would like to invite other junior STEM researcher, the women, so that we put effort in ourselves to stay relevant in STEM field. So these are among the suggested strategies that we can take into consideration. We may consider the mentorship, where we are attached to the professors, the renowned scientists, or even go for research attachment. Or we may adopt for the networking, to have professional networking with the industry players, with all other professors around the globe, and to further enhance our research collaboration. And we also need to increase our skills and education level so that we can stay relevant and equipped with the technical skill, not only technical skill, but also the soft skills in doing so. Then we also can prepare ourselves by bridging the knowledge gap, by stay relevant to the current technology, and get to know all the policy related to STEM, and of course with supportive policy and working settings on the flexible hours, the work-life balance, we can promote this gender equality among women in STEM fields. So I believe I would like to share just a little bit of success stories from Malaysia. We have some renowned STEM scientists that have been at the global level. We have Dr. Amani as the NASA scientist, who is now working at Malaysia, coming back to our country. We have Dr. Amalina, who is now doing her PhD at Royal College of London. We have Dr. Fakira as the Tesla engineer, as a robotic engineer. We also have Dr. Fakria as the renowned researcher in infectious disease. So we are happy with that we have the role models that we can follow, so that we will be inspired to stay relevant in STEM field. So as a conclusion, I would like to highlight that by bridging the academia in the industry is the key to empower the women in STEM. So this empowerment should be through actions, not through words only, because we need to really physically breaking down all the barriers, and obviously we should advocate for inclusive policies and support. So together we can leverage the power of women STEM players so that we can create a more sustainable and resilient world for our future generations. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosmina, for your comprehensive and insightful presentations on women representation in academia and R&D in Malaysia and some of the countries from the same region. And the statistics you shared, your analysis highlight the significant stride made in promoting gender equity in higher education and research, while also shedding light on the challenges that still need to be addressed. So as we conclude, I would like to invite Ambassador Dr. Muhammad Nafeez Zakia to deliver the closing remarks. Unfortunately, we are delayed in the program, so that's why we could not have an interactive question and answer session. So I would request Ambassador Dr. Mohammad Hafiz Zakia to deliver the closing remarks and share key takeaways from today's discussion. Over to you, sir.
Importantly, the architect behind today's event, my colleagues, Dr. Mavish and Dr. Huma, for excellently arranging today's event and getting all the people on board. My profound thanks to both of you. I think we have already overrun the time that was allocated, and I really appreciate the presence of the gracious participation of all the distinguished speakers who are still with us. Before we go for a photo session, I just wanted to, say that instead of going into this 3-page concluding remarks that I have, I would suggest that all the points, important points that we have noted from all these speakers, we should gather these points and distribute among all the distinguished speakers in due course of time, and to get their feedback, and then we actually chart a way forward using the insightful experience that they have shared with us. I think there are many takeaways from the deliberations that we have had, and we have heard very closely and very keenly to the deliberations made by our speakers. And I'm very sure that I'm very happy to see that there is a big presence of the people who are listening to the words of wisdom from our distinguished speakers. So I thank you all once again. And I think let's go for a good photo so that we remember this event, and we carry forward the process from here to the next steps that we intend to take. Thank you. अच्छा
मेरा ऑन है वो बैठी ओके सबको कह दें अपने कैमरा स्विच
I think all need to switch on cameras so that everybody's photo is captured. Thank you. I see our very good friends sparing time so much. Thank you very much. So this brings us to the end of this webinar, and I hope that we continue with this. And I believe this is also a food for thought for men also think about their achievement and highlight them in the next webinar. Thank you very much. We should not be left.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate the participation from our centers of excellence, RSS, KAZNU, ICENS.
Thank you so much, Shoma. Thank you.
IRCC. Thank you, Vidar, for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
We look
Thank
forward
you.
to future collaboration. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you.